Let's get into our next topic, one of our favorite topics to do on the show. It's the New England Patriots. We got our first look of Mac Jones. I'm going to display right here. This is the new improved Mac Jones, the first throw we've ever seen Mac Jones throw in his new in the new year. This is from the Patriots Twitter. It's exciting to see because, as we remember, Mac Jones had a bit of a rift last season with Matt Patricia as his unofficial but official OC. And now, reportedly, he is, quote, energized by Belichick's decision to move on from Matt Patricia in favor of Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator. And it's kind of crazy. When you actually get put in a certain situation, don't get screwed over by your team, all of a sudden, positive things start coming about you. We have with positive reviews of teammates and coaches that have been around Mac Jones the longest, which he's got called confident, leading like we know he can, ready to remind you, the media and the fans, not including me, why he was a playoff quarterback in year one. So I want to know, what are your expectations for Mac Jones and this offense going into the 2023-2024 NFL season?
I think that he needs to make the playoffs, and if they don't, and it's because he had a bunch of boneheaded plays, throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball, then he's out of there.
Really?
Yeah. This is his. He's got to do something this year, big time, or he's not going to be there any longer.
What do you define by big time? Would you be
make the playoffs? He doesn't even have to win a playoff game. I don't think you got to make the playoffs. It's going to be very hard for them to do. They got a very tough schedule. And their division is very tough. We went over this last week.
Let's look at this schedule. This is their schedule for 2022-2023. Now, I've seen some different websites, but generally I've seen, the repeated number I've seen is that the Patriots, this schedule is the third hardest in the NFL.
Yeah. Makes you wonder why they get such a hard schedule when they didn't make the playoffs last year.
Usually
get a little easier schedule when you don't make the playoffs.
I mean, just think about the teams
they're playing. They got a terribly
playing.
hard schedule there. I don't know why that is. Somebody doesn't like them, I guess.
It's Bill Belichick, and no one likes the Patriots. So you're playing a healthy Tua maybe twice. You're playing them at least once. I don't expect him to get hurt in week one. So you're playing them at least in week two. He's undefeated against the Patriots. You're playing Aaron Rodgers with arguably a better team than he had last year. You're playing Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Mahomes. You're playing Dak Prescott in that defense. You're playing Josh Allen again with the Bills. You can't beat the Bills.
Even Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson with a brand new head coach, a Hall of Fame head coach. Justin Herbert with another receiving talent. You're playing Mike Tomlin. You know, who knows what Daniel Jones is gonna look like with new talent. You lost to the Saints with Jameis Winston on the Saints. You got Derek Carr now. Who knows what he's gonna look like? And Michael Thomas is supposedly gonna be back. So who knows what's gonna happen this season? I keep looking at the schedule and realizing there's not much faith I have in the Patriots this season, and I don't think. My expectation for the Patriots is not to make the playoffs, because I think it's more than just Mac Jones making the playoffs here. Because I don't think Mac Jones solo can do it, because there have been games where Mac Jones has
I'm not saying
very
by
well.
himself, but I'm saying he could be the reason they don't. Because he could make a bunch of boneheaded plays and interceptions and fumbles and things that could cost them games. And if he does that and they don't make the playoffs, that's why I say he's not going to be there. If he plays well and they don't make it, well, that might be a little bit different situation. But he's got to play well.
Would you be satisfied with
his mouth shut? He's got to keep his mouth shut.
Hell no. Hey, something was wrong. Anyone with two eyeballs could see something wrong.
He alienated Matt Patricia. He alienated the whole coaching staff, right? Bill Belichick's unhappy with him too.
Well, Belichick's unhappy because Mac Jones went behind his back and
they should not
undermine
that. We've talked about this at length about Mac Jones. I said it was wrong for him to do that, go behind their backs and ask for advice about running the offense from other teams. That's ridiculous. You don't do that.
Well, why wouldn't you?
And then out there on the field during the game with everyone watching, dissing Matt Patricia. That's it.
Did he not deserve
that? That upset Belichick, and rightfully so.
Did he or did he not deserve to be clowned on national TV?
Who?
Matt Patricia.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because he's a coach. He's one of the leaders. People make mistakes.
Mistakes.
He made his share of mistakes, but it's not for the players to call him out for that.
Well, Belichick wasn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't have that role in the middle of the year.
You don't know what Belichick was saying to him behind the scenes. Is
It
Belichick's
clearly
not
didn't
going to
work.
call him out on the field?
It clearly didn't work.
Well, it didn't work. They changed.
No,
They've changed. Now there's a fresh start. New
Exactly.
offensive coordinator. Matt Jones is energized by it. All right, let's see what he does. Energized.
Would you
He's
be
the
satisfied?
Energizer bunny.
Would you be
He's
satisfied?
got a new battery. He's ready to roll. Turn on the battery. Let's see what he can do.
Pound that drum. Would you be satisfied with a repeat of Mac Jones' rookie year? 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 picks, 67.6% completion percentage, 92.5 passer rating.
I think those stats are okay, but the way he got there is not. Is he played well at the beginning, and then he did lousy in the middle, or kind of 2/3 of the way through the season, and he finished up okay. So he needs to be. I think he needs to be more consistent along the way.
That's fair.
Because there were a couple of games, 3-4 games there, where he played terrible.
Right.
So
But
he's got to be more consistent.
There were also a couple of games where the Patriots choked themselves. In year one, we remember the Cowboys game. Mac Jones, it was a shootout basically. The game went to overtime.
That one, I put that one on Belichick. He should have let him go for it on 4th down.
Big time on
Having him
Belichick.
kick a 56-yard field goal in the pouring rain. Nick Folk, whose leg is strong but not that strong, and he's not that young. I think that was asking too much. They should have let Mac Jones. And Mac Jones had completed 12 or 13 passes in a row at that point. They only had that one tipped. That I should have given him a chance to try to get it on 4th down.
What about the Vikings game? There were two.
Well, he played well in that game.
He played very well in that game.
Yeah.
They're the special teams, which was the Patriots' specialty for like a decade.
Special teams stunk last year.
It's crazy, when you have coaches not in the right positions because you just want to keep them on the coaching staff and fill in roles, doesn't exactly work out the way you wanted it to.
We'll see what Joe Judge does now that he's back on special teams.
I expect them to be better. Here's the thing. Joe Judge should be nowhere near the offense. Matt Patricia should be nowhere near the offense.
He's not. He's not even on the team anymore.
Right. He's like some sort of defensive advisor, senior defensive
for the
Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles need some defensive help. We'll see how the Eagles defense looks. Now, Bill O'Brien, he has the clean slate mentality. Belichick has sort of had a nod of confidence for Mac Jones, say we all need to reprove ourselves, which is a little bit better than saying, yeah, Mac Jones could play, but not say he's our QB1. So it's a little bit better to hear that from Belichick. But what I expect here is I expect the same thing as his rookie year. Now, personally, I understand this is probably an unpopular opinion. I would have kept Jonnu Smith on the lineup. Now, the cap-it situation, I understand that could have been a problem. However, Jonnu Smith, we saw him when he was on the Titans with Arthur Smith. He now rejoins Arthur Smith when he was on the Falcons. I think Matt Patricia didn't know how to use him. I don't think Josh McDaniels knew how to use him. Because Bill O'Brien, I fully expected Bill O'Brien to come in this season. There were rumors even he can come in last season, like the season before. He ran a 2 tight end system with Robert Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. That was the most dynamic offense at the time. 2011, that was arguably one of Brady's best years, a top 3 year for Tom Brady. Gronk was the most dominant tight end. I think he scored 17 touchdowns in that offense, which is still a record for tight ends in a single season. Mm-hmm. Aaron Hernandez played a sort of halfback, but mainly tight end role, and it worked beautifully. Now, Josh McDaniels didn't have that specialty tight end too he could always have, and Matt Patricia can't run an offensive play. Hell, he only made 10 of them. So now you actually have what could have been a more mobile tight end along with Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith, the more mobile tight end with Hunter Henry. Instead, you have Hunter Henry, who's a pretty good tight end all around. Now you have Mike Gesicki, who's more of a vertical tight end. He's not, super agile and a route runner. He's more of a vertical tight end. So we're going to see. It gives him more pass catching, but it doesn't exactly give him that versatility of maybe having him in a backfield.
That tight end combination of Hernandez and Gronk, Gronk is a special player.
Oh, I understand.
Right? I mean, look at the physical specimen, the size of him.
Completely agree. Yep.
Right? And the motivation he had and the smarts, the football IQ. Gronk is a special player. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith would have been Gronk and Hernandez. What I'm saying is that type of offense worked very, very well, and I think Bill O'Brien could have done the same thing.
I'm not sure they had the players to make it work with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith.
But do you think that do you think Bill O'Brien will go back to
Jonnu Smith, he made a lot of mistakes.
Well,
He's in there. They throw him the ball. His hands were stone. The ball would bounce up in the air, be intercepted. He'd drop it. He had penalties against him. He did not play well for the Patriots. He might be a great player. Maybe he'll do great when he goes to work with
Arthur Smith
again. Yeah. But for the Patriots, he was not good.
Do you think Bill O'Brien will go back to that 2010s offense?
I hope so. I think that was I like that offense. I think if they think these tight ends can manage that, then they ought to give it a try.
I honestly think it'd be very, very successful because the Patriots
this
had
guy from Miami, is he any good?
Mike Gesicki. It's weird. The Dolphins seem to want to like get off him for the past 3 years, and now all of a sudden they're off of him. I would say he's an okay. I think he's a B tight end. But so is I think Hunter Henry's a B plus.
Didn't draft a tight end this year,
right? And thank God Belichick can't draft offense. So we'll see. I mean, the last tight ends they drafted was like Matt Lacoste and was it Dan?
A Sissy.
Yeah, a Sissy. And
they drafted a Sissy.
I think it's Asi actually.
Asi, whatever his name is.
It doesn't make any sense. You go from Gronk Hernandez and then Ben Watson to Asi. Ryan Izzo and Lacoste. I don't understand how you just like the offense and Belichick do not blend whatsoever together in drafting. I don't have the wide receiver draft here, but that is abysmal. You maybe had one hit that retired at the end of the year, which was Malcolm Mitchell, who I think had a lot of potential. So my expectation is rookie year. I'd be completely fine with him putting up rookie year numbers again. Because they made the playoffs.
How about the consistency throughout the year? You want him to be high halfway through the year and then have a stretch of abysmal play and then kind of limp to the finish line? Is that what you want? Or do you want him to be doing better along the way? Because the first few games there, man, they're going to have a hard time winning them.
Oh, absolutely. I want to bring up the schedule again. My full expectation.
Look at the Eagles.
Yeah.
Chances are they're not going to win that.
They could start 0-4.
I think they've done well. They've done well against Miami at home in the past. So,
not versing Tua.
I think that's a win they could get. And I don't know if they can beat the Jets with the Jets team they have now. It's going to be everyone's going to be expecting them the Jets to win that game. So I think at Dallas, those two games are going to be hard to win. They could be 1-3.
They could be 0-4. There's a high likely chance they're 1-3.
And they've started the year last 2 years. They've started the year terrible.
Yeah,
right.
Actually, for a little while, they start off the year pretty bad. There was one time in 2019 where the Patriots start off with 8-0, and that's because they played absolute bums in the first 8 games. And then when they played the Ravens, a competent team, they got blown out. I think it was 34-21 or something like that. Some crazy line. Also, Belichick doesn't do well against mobile quarterbacks, which the Eagles have, which Tua is. Who else?
Aaron Rodgers is not that immobile, actually.
He's starting to become
more immobile.
Yeah, he's not
still,
taking
he can
shots.
move around. Dak Prescott can move around.
Dak Prescott can move. Derek Carr's got some mobility, kind of, sort of. Not compared to the rest of them. Josh Allen can move. Once again, Tua can move. Well, who is Anthony Richardson going to play for the Colts?
Nobody's expecting a whole lot from the Patriots, really.
You're right. They have the lowest
7.5 game wins.
The lowest in 22 years.
Yeah.
And that's coming, I believe, it was the first year of Belichick, and I believe that was the 5-8 year, 5-11 year. Sorry. I mean, is Anthony Richardson going to start? Belichick doesn't do well against mobile quarterbacks. If Anthony Richardson starts, who knows what that's going to be?
I think that the rookie quarterbacks don't beat Belichick.
Daniel Jones with more talent? Just spitballing here.
We'll see what the offensive line is like this year. They didn't do much to help it in the draft, right?
You're right. You drafted kickers, punters, and defensive players. The normal Bill Belichick draft.
Yeah.
And then you picked up a guy from the Broncos, I want to say. You also picked up another offensive line. I don't have the people in front of me, but they're not all that. You're not picking up a big name.
They may not be done. They usually do some stuff right after the cuts are made. Maybe they pick up a player or two that way. So
hey, I'm going to say this right now. I didn't take a hard, deep look at it, but there's some defensive players I think Belichick. I thought he'd be interested in getting, like Marcus Peters. He's been a pretty good cornerback for them. I was surprised that no one actually has picked him up. But I thought, honestly, that maybe Belichick would go for someone like that, a defensive back, a veteran defensive back.
Well, they drafted that guy from Oregon, right? He's all-world.
Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he's gone down to 17. But hey, the Patriots got him, and I'm hoping, They actually turns out the way his draft report was, and that's
I think the
insane.
fact they didn't draft a wide receiver is a message to Mac Jones. Keep your mouth shut.
But you're also screwing him over again by not drafting. You're setting him up once again for failure.
No, they're saying, you know what? Make do with what you got. Look what Tom Brady did with some of the
you can't compare
with the receivers he had on the Patriots. He had a bunch of no-name players, and he set records with his passing. So step up, Mac.
You can't do that.
Step up and play.
You're going to compare Daniel Jones to Tom Brady, saying he's throwing the bums, so every quarterback should be able to throw the bums and win Super Bowls? It's an unfair comparison. And that's what I think Patriots fans are doing.
The Patriots don't have bums at wide receiver.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They have one. They're arguably one of the worst wide receiver cores in the NFL.
Wow.
You don't have a wide receiver one. And by the way, Kayshon Boutte, who you thought,
there you go.
He may not even make the cut. There's now rumors he won't. There's a decent chance, a decent high chance he won't even make the cut.
Oh, really? Huh.
He may get cut before he even has a chance to play in a single game. Now
I think they'll get rid of Thornton before they give Boutte. They'll give Boutte a chance.
I don't know about that. Hey, we'll also have an offensive weapon that I think has been in decline, but still could be a decent short yardage back. But maybe not. Ezekiel Elliott's still not signed. You might want to try picking him up, maybe. I'm just saying maybe.
He's had it. He's been pounded around so many years. I don't think he's got anything much left in the tank.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't
think...
The
Patriots don't need a running back. Don't need running backs.
Maybe. Jadeveon Clowney. Belichick loves his defensive ends.
He's still out there?
He's still out there, but he's not as great.
He's over the hill.
Yeah, he's not as great. There are a decent amount of players here on the free agent list that I'm going down that are like decent to still good that I think Belichick could be interested in. But I don't know if they'll go for it. Like Kenny Galladay, he was terrible for the Giants. He had one touchdown catch in I think 2-3 years.
Nobody wants him, huh?
Nobody wants him still. Byron Jones,
he's a big guy, Galladay.
Yeah, but he's not that great apparently. There's some talents out there I think Belichick will be interested in. But hearing that Mac Jones is energized is a good sign.
Yeah, well, you know what? He probably may be interested in those guys. He's waiting a little longer so their price tag goes down. Right?
Could be.
You can pick him up for next to nothing.
Could be. But it's also good to hear now positive reviews are coming out from coaches. And first of all, the teammates have always had Mac Jones's back. Even when he was doing all the stuff that you adamantly opposed to, the teammates were agreeing with him all the time. But now teammates and coaches are each saying that, he's confident in being a leader in the locker room and on the field, which is always good. He's going to,
maybe
resurgence here, as I like to call it. And I expect that. But I would be very satisfied with rookie numbers. I would like it, maybe 2 or 3 fewer interceptions, but going, turn them into touchdowns. So 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, about 3,800 yards. I'm fine with that. 67% completion percentage would be more than enough for me.
What record will they have with those stats?
Well, here's the thing. Once again, take a look at the schedule.
Making the playoffs.
I have them winning 7 games.
Yeah,
that's the most likely outcome. But look at the schedule. They have the third hardest schedule in the NFL.
Very hard.
So I think Mac Jones will look terrible. Honestly, they can go 0-4. Mac Jones will look absolutely terrible. But look at the teams that's the thing. Context is huge. Mac Jones may play terribly. Like last season was bad, and the context was he didn't trust the offense. The offense didn't trust the offense, and they had like the puppet run the offense. They had 10 plays, 10 passing plays for a second-year quarterback. You're screwing them over. In this context, look at the teams you're playing. If you lose to the Saints, if you get decimated by the Saints, if you lose to Washington, if you lose to the Colts, if you lose to the Giants, I would say that's on Mac Jones. Unless there's some weird play like a safety, what's it called? A special teams error like in the Vikings game.
Yeah, well, if you lose to the Eagles 24-21 and Mac Jones has 4 interceptions, then that's on him too.
Could be.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So rookie numbers for me, you're saying make the playoffs, which is pushing it with that schedule.
Yeah, and if you're going to have those numbers, play more consistently instead of this up, down, up, down. Yeah.
Hey, Jason Tatum effect. Up, down, up, down. First team All-NBA. That's all I'm saying.